Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron, as you all probably know by now, and I just wanted to start this presentation off with a quick little story. Um, I'm going to take you guys back probably about 2 years, I would say. I was back in high school. It was my senior year of high school. I had spent all three of my high school years at one school, Rockland High School, and then I had transferred just because. Uh, I wanted to hang out with my other friends at school. I had a lot of friends over at Whitney. Um, all of my friends, I played football. I played football, which I'm going to get into. There was just a bunch of different things that went on behind it. I kind of just wanted new scenery. Um, but anyways, so like I said, I played football in high school. In my senior year, I came to Whitney to play. They had just gotten a new head coach. A lot of stuff went on. I thought it was just going to be a really cool thing. It was really cool. Don't get me wrong about that. It was a good decision. But anyways, I I had just started meeting a lot of the teammates, a lot of the coaches. It was over the summer camp. I was getting to know the coaches, teammates, all that stuff. And after about a couple of weeks of practice, a few weeks actually, we got the pads on, we started hitting a little bit, and I got a little shaken up in my elbow right here. And this gave me the opportunity to go meet the trainer for the first time. And this trainer, he was a little younger. I guess Whitney, they had just lost their actual trainer and they couldn't find another one to replace. So they kind of got someone who was still learning to come and help out and do what they could do. Uh, so I went in there. He was about probably a couple years older than I am, maybe just a year or two older than I am. Um, and I had just met him. And there was also this other kid in there who was one of my teammates, who I hadn't really gotten to meet yet. He was just me and him, different parts of the field all the time. Haven't really gotten a chance to talk to each other. And they had both told me, they said, "Hey, when I first saw you and around the field and stuff, I wasn't really expecting you to be a football player. I kind of assumed you're more like a skateboarder or a surfer kind of guy." And I was like, "Hey, well, why'd you assume that?" And then he was like, "Well, just because of kind of the way you dressed and uh, you know, your hair, all that stuff." So in my head, I was thinking like, "Hey, well, um, this guy, he kind of just assumed something about me just based off of my style, you know." Uh, I wasn't mad. It didn't offend me. I've gotten it before. I get it. My hair, little skate look, snowboarder look. I understand. That was kind of the look I was going for, anyways. So, but he ended up being totally wrong. And the reason I mentioned the other kids because he actually told me the same thing. He was like, "Yeah, I thought the same thing actually." And I was like, "Well, okay. You guys are actually both completely wrong." Um, I've actually never been a skater. I tried it when I was 8. Wasn't my thing, and clothes are just clothes that I like to wear. It doesn't mean much other than that. I just clothes I like to wear. So yeah, what I just realized is what that was a clear stereotype that he had assumed something about me just because of the context of something else, which was my looks. He assumed very wrong. He had stereotyped me. And that's going to lead me into what is a stereotype. Well, the exact definition I have here, it says, "It is a mistaken idea or belief many people have about a thing, group, or person." I wouldn't do much to that definition at all. I think that nails it right on the spot. You get a certain amount of context about something, and it's put into your head, then you're gonna go out and probably stereotype something or someone because of that context you have in your head of stuff that's happened before. Um, you know, and I really think that this is a great topic to be talking about, especially today. Today's election day. The past few months, there's been a lot of turmoil in the United States with Black Lives Matter and Trump and Biden and cops. Just all of it. Coronavirus. It's really a mess politically, as a lot of you probably know. But that leads into stereotypes as well. A lot of people will go up to a Trump supporter and say, "You're racist." And they're going to say, "Why?" And they're going to say, "Well, because you support Trump, who is a racist," in some people's opinion. I have no opinion on either political belief. I'm just using this as an example for my presentation. Um, but they'll go out to him and say, "Hey, you're a racist. You're a Trump supporter," and then he's going to say, "Well, no, I just agree with some of the things that he does more than Biden. I'm not racist." And they're going to say, "Yes, you are." Well, what that is, that's a stereotype. And if a Trump supporter goes to a Biden fan and says whatever they have to say to Biden fans, then that's a stereotype as well. Just because someone's political belief, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are a bad person, that you know they're racist or whatever you may want to consider them as. That same goes for cops. Not every cop is a racist. Not everyone who supports cops is racist. Um, it's really it's a thin line right now, but that at the end of the day, people are stereotyping. Not every there's bad stereotypes out there. Not every white person is rich, and not every black person is poor, or vice versa. Whatever you want to stereotype, those are bad stereotypes. But also, another thing about stereotypes is that there is also not good stereotypes, but not all stereotypes are considered to be offensive or bad or aimed at in a bad way. For example, I was just thinking, Halloween had just passed, and I guess you could probably stereotype based off of Halloween. Let's say you're driving around and it's March and you see someone with a bunch of Halloween stuff outside their house in March, and you're thinking like, oh wow, that person must really like Halloween, or that must be their favorite holiday. But in reality, they were just too lazy to take the lights down. They didn't care, so they left it up. You know, uh, that that's a stereotype. You assume something because of the context of something else, and it just doesn't always necessarily work out that way. Another example of a not bad stereotype would be something like this. These are Jordans. When you think of these, you think of basketball a lot. Yeah, it's probably one of the first things that comes to your mind. These are basketball shoes. Michael Jordan, great basketball player. Um, you see someone walking around Jordans and Jordan shirts and pants, you might think, oh, well, that person's a basketball player. He's a baller, whatever. That's not always true. I have a lot of Jordan stuff, and I've never played basketball once in my life. Pick up, sure, but never actually played on a team. I've stuck with football my whole life. Uh, but at the end of the day, I like this brand. I like the way it looks. I like everything about it. So that's just how it is. Another way that stereotyping comes in America today would be in jobs. That's probably one of the main places where stereotyping happens actually in America, especially when you walk in for an interview. That interviewer doesn't really have much to judge who you are based off of, other than based off of your appearance and what you say to them. And those things could totally not represent who you are at all. You're dressed up professionally, but most days you like to dress up in sweats and a t-shirt. You know, it could not represent you at all, but you want to give out the best representation of yourself. You want them to have a good stereotype about you, if that makes sense. Um, you know, there's actually a proposition in today's elections that is asking whether or not we should, I don't know the exact specifics of it, but whether or not we should allow like equal opportunity based off of certain things when it comes to Mexicans, blacks, and any of that. Um, so that just shows how prevalent stereotyping really is in today's day and age. Um, a cool little stat I found from a very trustworthy university in Ferris State University. They said that 95% of Americans have either dealt with stereotyping on them, like someone has stereotyped them in a certain way, or they have stereotyped someone else or something else in a certain way. 95%. Now, I want to elaborate on that a little bit. 95%. And this was based off of a study of about 10,000 random people asked in the subject field. 95% said that they have dealt with stereotyping or have stereotyped. Uh, if that number doesn't make you realize a lot of things about, you know, this country and where we stand, then it is what it is. But it really, it should be something that isn't prevalent, but it is, unfortunately. We have to deal with stereotyping every single day. When you wake up every morning and you want to look good for someone, that means that you want them to be stereotyping you in a kind of a good way. Say you're going to meet someone for the first time, you want to look good. That just, you don't want to go look crappy, because then they're going to stereotype you and think that, oh, well, this dude's he's a bum. He doesn't take care of himself. I don't know, whatever you may want to make that into. But yeah, so overall, stereotyping, it's very, very, very prevalent in today's world. Like I said, it's not always a bad thing. Assuming something about Halloween isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that's going to offend much people, but it could. So that's why at the end of the day, I say that stereotyping should try to be not used as much as possible. Sometimes you're forced to stereotype. Say you're an interviewer, there's nothing you can do about that. But at the end of the day, if you can, you should get to know someone or something before you just go ahead and assume something about them, because at the end of the day, there's a good chance that you're not right, and the context that you were looking at before isn't right either. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and enjoy.